It's about 5 till 10. So as you join me, if you know how to do it, go ahead and let me know in the chat that you're here. And grab a chair. If you see behind me, I've got just a chair for my kitchen, my dining room table. Either that, or if you have a folding chair, just some kind of chair. We're just going to play around with that in today's session, so take a moment and grab that. I'll wait about 1 minute after, in case somebody's just coming on right at 10. I'll repeat this again at 10, but if you're on a little early, you can go get your chair. And if anybody has already joined me, just hope you're having a good, or have had a good week, and maybe have something planned for the weekend. Weather's getting a little bit better. It was quite nice a couple of days this week in terms of being warm enough. I actually bought some plants. I haven't put them out because I was afraid it might freeze. But I'm going to start getting ready for spring planting. And I stopped at a local nursery and picked up some herbs and a couple of other things just to kind of make myself feel ready for spring, which will be here in 17th of March, I think. Is it 17th or the 19th? It's the first day of spring. Well, anyway, and not too long, it'll be officially spring. Hi, I can't see who that is, but I see somebody's here. If you didn't hear me, I'll repeat this a couple more times before we get started. Grab a chair, a kitchen chair or a folding chair, if you've got one, or if you need to move your device to some place where you can stand next to something that you can hold on to, a table or something, that would be good. But if you've got a chair, that would be fine. It's quite amazing what things we can get excited about these days. So I don't know if there are any kombucha fans. I know kombucha is one of those things kind of like cilantro. People either really like it or really don't. I happen to actually love it, and I had to stop myself from buying it because I was spending so much money on kombucha. I don't drink soda. I don't particularly like sparkling water unless I'm having it in a gin and tonic or something. But I love kombucha, and so I'm making my first batch of kombucha myself. I'll let you know how it goes. I'm really excited about making kombucha this weekend. So that's my exciting thing that I'm planning for the weekend. Doesn't take very long to make it, but it's going to be one of my little weekend projects. Okay, one more time. If you are just joining me, please grab a kitchen chair or if you have a folding chair, anything with a back on it. That would be great. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. Um, I'm going to say it one more time before we get started. Make sure you have a chair, a kitchen chair. This is my dining room chair, a kitchen table chair, or a folding chair near your mat for this morning. So let's go ahead and get started. So come to a comfortable cross-legged position, whatever is your particular way of sitting cross-legged. So for a variety of reasons, we sit cross-legged differently. Maybe it's the left leg that's the front leg, the right leg's the inside leg, or vice versa. But find your comfortable place. And then go ahead and lift up one thigh, pull the flesh away from the buttock flesh away from the sit bone, and then do the same thing on the other side. So you can actually, if you kind of roll around a little bit, you can feel your sit bones beneath you. And let the sit bones be kind of the foundation for your seat, so that you can let the sit bones press into the earth as you elongate your torso and your spine. And just visualize your spine moving up from the base of your back, from the very low back, right up to the top of your neck. The cervical spine moves all the way up right to the back of the neck, and then relax your shoulders. So I did an interesting short meditation this morning with a teacher that I like. Her name is Sebene Selassie. And it was just a very short meditation on balance, on finding balance. Now, we hear a lot about balance, work-life balance, family, self-care balance, all kinds of things that we try to balance. And of course, balance has been a particular challenge in this last year, since all of our lives have become very much unbalanced. In different ways for different people, and in many of the same ways for some of us. So with that in mind, go ahead and close your eyes, or if you don't want to close your eyes, you can just soften your gaze and maybe glance down at the floor. And just start by noticing your body. So last week we did a very specific part by part body scan. But today I just want you to just notice, I'm just going to point out certain parts of your body that I want you to notice. So let's start by just noticing how your head is sitting atop your spine. Do you have a sensation of balance? Do you have a sensation that the head is sitting exactly where it should be atop your spine? And then moving your awareness to your shoulders. Start with your left shoulder. How does your left shoulder feel as opposed to your right shoulder? Or do they feel the same? Do you feel more tension in one or the other shoulder? Or do you feel no tension in either shoulder? And then move your awareness down to your hips. So starting on the left side, how does your left hip feel as you sit cross-legged? This isn't always the most comfortable position for people, and as we get older, it gets a little bit more challenging unless we do it a lot. So how does your left hip feel? And then move over to your right hip and see how the right hip feels. Does one feel more comfortable than the other? Do they feel about the same? And then to your knees. So again, knees can start to challenge us as we get older, and they can challenge us when we're younger too, if we've done a lot of athletic stuff like running, but they do tend to challenge us more when we're older. So notice your left knee, then your right knee. Any difference? So although I have considerable arthritis in my left knee, I've got it in both knees, but the left is the worst, but my knees feel really comfortable. I can note that they feel about the same today. No additional discomfort in my left knee. And then moving your awareness down, just down to your ankles. So a lot of times our ankles are stiff and we don't even recognize it because we wear shoes all the time and we don't really have to do much with our ankles. But see if you notice any difference in your ankles. If you're sitting cross-legged, of course, one leg will be on top of, usually be on top of an ankle or heel. Okay, go ahead, open your eyes now, and I want you to cross your legs in the other direction, the way that you don't normally cross them. And I just want you to feel, do you now feel a little unbalanced? Or does it feel about the same? Just noticing. Okay, all right, so let's come on up to table pose. And as you come up to table pose, look down and make sure that your hands and arms are shoulder width apart. I'll move back a little bit, just make sure everybody can see me. The chair's not in the way. Make sure your hands and arms are shoulder width apart, and your shoulders are directly over your wrists, so not back like this. So if you need to, shift your shoulders forward so they're right over the wrists. And then make sure your knees are directly underneath your hips. So not behind your hips and not in front of your hips, but right parallel with the hips. And of course, legs are hip width apart. So we're going to start with a balance pose that you might have learned in the first yoga class you ever took, called table balance. So I want you to lift your right arm and left leg and breathe and see how balanced you feel. Do you feel comfortably balanced, or is your balance challenged? So just being aware, just noticing. No judgment, but just noticing and breathing. And then on your exhalation, release that side. And let's take the opposite side. So now we're lifting the left arm, right leg. So how does your balance feel here? Does it feel the same? Or is this side easier or more difficult? And breathing. And on your exhalation, go ahead and release that side. And then just push yourself back into child's pose for just a couple of breaths, with a sense of investigation of how those balance poses felt. And then coming back up to table, same position. This time, make sure that you really spread your fingers wide, pressing into the fingertips, the knuckles, the palms of the hands, and the heel of the thumb. And then isometrically press your hands towards each other. Curling your toes under. On your next inhalation, come up from your knees into downward facing dog. On your exhalation, straightening the knees, but Don't straighten them all the way yet. Just go ahead and kind of bicycle a little bit. And then lowering the heels, but remember you don't have to lower your heels to the floor. And if you need to have your knees bent, that's okay too. So going back to the hands, you make sure that your grip is nice and solid. And then when you're ready, I want you to just lift your right leg. Flex the foot, press the left heel towards the floor. Try to find some balance. Breathing. On an exhalation, go ahead and release the right leg. You might want to bicycle a little bit again. And then when you're ready, lift the left leg, just straight back. Up and back. How does your balance feel here? On your exhalation, lower the leg, bend the knees. Let's just take a couple of breaths in child's pose again. Coming back up to table, bring your right leg up in front. If you have blocks, you can use your blocks. If you don't have blocks, just use your fingertips. Make sure your knee is directly over your ankle on that front leg, right leg. Right leg is in front. And with the back toes curled under, go ahead and lift that back knee. And breathe. Now on this next part, you can put your back knee down on the floor if you want to, if that's easier for you or if the balance is not good. But if you can't, keep that back knee lifted and bring your hands up to your knee. Relax the shoulders and breathe. How does your balance feel? On an exhalation, go ahead and put the back knee down. Let's change sides. So starting out with the hands, either the fingertips or the hands on blocks, either one. Knee is directly over the ankle. Back toes are curled under. And then go ahead and just lift that back knee and breathe. And again, if it's easier, your hands can be on your blocks too. And then either keeping that back knee lifted or putting it back down on the ground. Bring your hands up onto your knee. Lengthen the spine. And bringing the hands back down to the floor, go ahead and hop that back leg up to the front so that you're in Uttanasana. Place your hands at your waist, squeeze your shoulder blades back, and inhale to come up. Okay, now grab your chair. Or if you don't have a chair handy, or it's easier to just take your device to your table, that's fine too. Really, the chair is just going to be for balance. So I'm going to just bring the chair onto the mat this way. And the chair is on my, I'm not going to mirror you here. So the chair is on my left side. So what I want to do is get you to be comfortable with balance. A lot of times it's hard to get into balance poses and we never quite make it because we're so busy trying to balance. So the chair is going to be here for an assist, and it's okay. I've started to use a chair or a wall for balance poses, even though my balance has been good all my life, but as I've repeated, so many of you know this, because of the fact that I'm blind in my left eye, my balance is really off sometimes, so I really have to work hard on it. Okay, so let's first of all just stand with your feet parallel, but I want you to lift and lower your toes a few times. Just lift and lower. I think we did this last week. As you lift though, next time you lift, keep them lifted and see how far you can spread your toes apart. Do they feel like they're spreading apart, or do they feel like or look like they're all kind of still stuck together? Mine don't spread that far, but they kind of spread. There's space between all of them. Now go ahead and lower the toes, okay? But pay particular attention to your left leg. We're gonna just do a little bit of a balance pose. You can use the chair if you want, or you can try it without the chair and just use the chair if you need it. So standing nice and tall, have your hands at your waist. Really feel that your hips are balanced, that you don't have one hip pushed forward. Sometimes just the way we stand, we don't get our hips in balance. Place your awareness on your left leg, and then I want you to just lift the right foot off the floor. Use the chair if you need it. And then take that right leg out to the side. Oops, see, I need a little bit of an assist. And then take that right leg right behind you. Bring it back to the side, back in front, and lower. Okay? If you're standing in the same position I am, I'm going to move the chair to the left side. Now, this is the side that might be difficult for me because this is my left. So, because I'm blind in the left eye, balance is more challenging on my left side. So again, feet are parallel. Place your awareness now in that right foot because that's your balancing foot. And when you're ready, lift the left leg. Use the chair if you need it. Take it out to the side. Take it behind you. See, back out to the side, in front, and release. Good. Okay, I'm moving it back to the right now, or to my left side so I can use my right leg. So we're going to come into tree pose. So go ahead now and consciously hold on to your chair and bring that right leg up, your right leg up, as high as you can. It doesn't have to be this high. It can be on your lower leg or lower down in your thigh. Holding onto the chair, really get a sense of stability in that standing left leg. Just breathe. And then if and when you are ready, bring your hands to prayer position. Oops. Oops, my leg is sliding down. I'm going to bring it down. Oops. See, so I've been really using a lot of assistance in my balance poses. And go ahead and release. Let's change sides. Look down at the feet. Make sure they're parallel. Place your awareness and go ahead and hold on to the chair to start. Then bring that left leg up. And when you're ready, or if you're ready, and if you're not ready, just keep holding lightly onto the chair. It's fine. And release. Okay. All right. Now this is an interesting one. Go ahead and sit down in your chair. This is something, so I was listening to these two doctors talking about aging and talking about, you know, well, they're specialists in Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's is a very, very serious disease of the brain. But interestingly, one of the things that they've discovered in their research is, of course, staying physically strong is as important as staying mentally strong. So actually, it's weird, and I'm not saying this like they said it because they were much more detailed than me, but one of the things that struck me is they said, of course, exercise is important, but even more important of all the exercise is leg strength. Leg strength. It has something to do with the vascular system of your legs that apparently attaches to your brain. I'm not saying it right. I can give you some information on, they've got a book coming out which I'm definitely going to read. But at any rate, I've been really thinking about leg strength a lot. I do a lot, I walk, I do a lot of exercise. Okay, anyway, sorry, this is only half an hour class, so I have to shut up. Okay, so what we're going to try here is standing up from this chair without using our hands and on one leg. So I've been practicing this, and so what I do is I'm going to stand up on my left leg first. So I'm going to put my left leg out a little further and move my right leg back. I'm going to sit a little bit closer to the edge of the chair, lengthening my spine up. And then I'm going to try to stand. I've done it a couple of times, but then I've missed a couple of times too, so I can't guarantee I'm going to do it. But do the best you can, and use your hands if you absolutely need to. But see if you can stand on your left leg. Oh, see, I messed up the front. I did this a couple of times already this morning. Maybe my legs are weak, but I'm going to try it again. And I had to put my toe down. And then I'm going to try to sit back down without putting my right leg on the floor. I did that part right. I'm going to try, let's try it one more time on this side. We're just going to try it twice on each side. So once again, some of it's just, again, it has to do with balance too, and finding the right balance to do this. So I'm going to lean in, still had to put my toe down this time, and I'm going to try to sit back down. Okay, all right. All right, let's do the other side. So, doing the same thing, I'm going to try to stand with on my right leg without putting my left leg on the floor. I couldn't do it, but I can sit back down. And it might be because I tried this a few times today, so my legs might be tired. That's going to be my excuse anyway, okay? All right, one more time on the right side. So I'm going to try to stand. Oh, I can't do it this time. I'm going to use my hand, stand, and then try to sit. Anyway, so that's something you can just kind of practice at home. It'll both help to strengthen your legs and to improve your balance. Okay. Let's come back down to seated. And stretch your legs out in front. So I did this 2 weeks ago. I did this little exercise 2 weeks ago. I don't think anybody was on live with me 2 weeks ago because I think I forgot to hit a particular, there's a sequence of how you have to do this YouTube, whether it's live or recorded. And I think I recorded myself but didn't actually, it wasn't live. So anyway, so people may or may not have seen this, but stick your legs out in front. So back to this issue of balance. The feet are so important. And of course you all know that our feet are important. That's what we used to walk on. But what we may not know is that of the 207 bones in your entire body, 52 of them are in your feet. So a quarter of all the bones in your body are in the feet. And finding a way to keep the feet flexible like the rest of our body, like we do in yoga, is really important, because if the feet are not flexible, if your feet start to get all stiffened up, we're not even talking about arthritis, just stiff, like our knees get stiff, our hips get stiff, then your balance can't possibly be good. So this is just one more factor. So there are all these things that go into balance or not. Go ahead and pick up your right foot, place it on top of your left thigh, and then take the fingers of your left hand and interlace them between the toes of your right foot, like this, okay? And then I just want you to wiggle them back and forth. Now, if this is hard for you and it's hard for you to get your fingers through your toes, do the best you can, but know that that means your toes are pretty stiff and you need to loosen them up. Now, after you've done the back and forth, I want you to kind of make circles in one direction with your toes, with your fingers still between them. And now go the other way, so make circles in the other direction. And then release your fingers from between your toes, and we're going to go one toe at a time. Start with your big toe, and I want you to make circles in one direction with just the big toe. And then make circles in the other direction with the big toe. And now just kind of pull on the big toe a few times. Just pull it straight up. And do this now with all 4 other toes. So second toe, circles in one direction, and then circles in the other direction, and then a little pulling on the toes, the toe. Keep going. Circles in one direction, circles in the other direction, and then gently pulling, just gently pulling. See what you notice about how your toes feel when you're doing this. Do they feel stiff? Do they feel flexible? Do some toes feel more stiff than other toes? When you finish on that side, let's change sides. So putting the left foot on top of the right thigh, same thing, interlace your fingers. Now interestingly, the left side of my body is always more stiff. Every part of it is more stiff or a little less comfortable than the right side. That's the imbalance. So even something like putting my fingers between my left toes is harder than my right toes. So go ahead now and just do that back and forth. And then make circles with your fingers between your toes. So all the toes. And then the other direction. Good. And then release. Now for this side, I don't know, it's up to you, but for this side, for whatever reason, it's easier for me to start with my baby toe. You can start with however you want. But again, once again, make circles in one direction with whatever toe you start with. And then the other direction. And then just giving a gentle pull. And just continuing. Now when I'm doing this on my own, my count is 10. Everything is 10, but we're doing a few less today because of timing, of course. So I'm doing like 5 or 6. Notice what feels different from, does this foot feel completely different from the right foot? Or, you know, you might be, maybe on your feet, the right foot was tighter than the left. Okay, and so just when you finish, just wiggle your toes a little bit, see how they feel. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do one more thing. We might go about 5 minutes over today. It's now 10:29, so we're going to just do something with the knees a little bit, because that standing up in the chair, you might have really felt that in you know, a lot of times we sit a lot, so this is a good little knee exercise. Grab a hold of your right knee, just place your hands behind it, lift it up, and just straighten and bend. Straighten and bend. You might hear some snap, crackle, and pop going on. I do. Now see if you can make circles from the knee joint in either direction, because we're just going to switch directions. And then I'm going to go the other way. So just notice how this feels on your knee joint. Go ahead and release the right side. Let's do the same thing with the left side. So lifting up the leg, just straighten and bend. And then go ahead and make some circles, either direction. And then change the directions. Good, and release. And then we're going to do one more thing. Go back to the right side, put your right foot now back on top of the left thigh, grab a hold of your right knee. So this is just going to give you some indication of how your hips are feeling. So we're just going to hold on to the knee with your right knee with your right hand and lift all the way up and then press down. So up towards your chest, press down towards the floor. How does that feel on your hip now? And then, after your left, next time, hold your index finger out as you hold your knee. Stick your index finger out. So think of your index finger as a pencil, and it's like you're making circles in the air with your pencil. So either direction, you're just kind of rotating that hip joint. And then go back the other way. Okay, and see, release that side. Let's do the other side. So go ahead and put your left foot on top of your right knee. Hold on to the knee, same thing, pressing up and pushing down. Any difference? And then holding on to the knee and sticking your index finger out, let's make those circles. Now I have arthritis in my left knee and my left hip, so this is always a little bit more challenging. But this is one of the reasons I do this particular series a lot. Excuse me, because and go ahead and release, because I really am trying to just make sure my hips stay flexible and make sure that I can actually feel what's going on, because a lot of times, you know, we compensate for things that are uncomfortable, a knee or a hip or whatever, and then we kind of forget about it unless we're in excruciating pain. But trying to keep that mobility, even in those areas that are tighter, in fact, especially in those areas that are tighter, is really a good thing. All right, go ahead and lie down on your back. Just take a 1-minute check-in here. So as you lie down on your back, let your whole body just kind of surrender into the support of the earth beneath you. Feel the connection between the back of your body with the earth. And you can just do a little gentle kind of body scan up the right side of your body. So from the right toes all the way up to the right shoulder. Just kind of noticing how your body feels on the right side. Now move your awareness to the left side of your body and scan from the left toes up to the left shoulder. Now, bring the body back together and scan from both toes or both sides of the body all the way up to the shoulders. And then go ahead and bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. You can roll over onto your side, or you can just kind of rock yourself back up to seated. And coming back to a cross-legged position. And I hope you've gotten some insight into the balance in your physical body today. Let's end our class by placing the hands in front of our hearts. Take a deep breath. Namaste. Thanks for joining me.